that. We just hope that this does it. I think we're live.
We are live. Are you
Excellent.
frozen or are you live?
Oh no. Am I frozen again?
No, no, no. I meant like temperature wise. I don't
Oh,
mean internet wise.
we're 3 minutes early, so I mean it's all good. Um,
Okay. It's live on LinkedIn. Let me see if it's live on Facebook.
it should be on my YouTube too. I just got a notice from YouTube. It's been recording us on YouTube. Go figure, man. I actually set that up. I asked in our group thing, I did like a little public service announcement saying, how Restream for some reason doesn't include all our comments. And so we'll do our best to get back to you. And then I said, if there's a Restream expert out there that can figure this out for us, it would be ideal. Because I don't know if it has to do with people registering ahead of time. Like, see, there's one eyeball on the screen right now. And I think that means someone's watching. But I don't see them in our chat. So, um, kind of
And we're
worried.
definitely on Facebook. So let's get this on the road. We're a
Oh,
little bit
wait a minute. It's 58. We got 2 minutes. We don't want people
so
like signing in at 8 and then like we've already like begun our talk and our thing. But can I just say it was probably very wise of Governor Hochul to postpone the Bills game. That was a big deal here in New York, in Buffalo. Western New York had a lot of. Oh, there's Erin. Yeah. Hello,
there's Erin
Marissa. Yeah, we
and
got
there's Marissa.
people.
Yes, 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 we
Yes,
can.
we did it. We did it.
Hey, and there's Frank and Franklin. Hey, Aaron, I
Franklin.
really,
Hey,
really like.
Franklin. And there's Frank. We got Frank and Franklin. This is the day of the F's. Well, welcome, friends. Welcome. We're a little bit early. We have 1 more minute to start. So we're just kind of catching up on the weather and the Bills game and saying I thought it was kind of wise that Governor Hochul actually canceled the game because it's kind of a poop show out there in the South Towns. So we're just kind of wait until 8 o'clock before we jump on into topics. Paula, how's the weather there in New York City?
It's really not bad. It's really not bad. We've had a little bit of snow flurries, but nothing that sticks. And it's in, like the high 30s. So
Yeah, you got
I
nothing,
think,
girl.
yeah, I
I
think
mean,
Tuesday we're getting snow.
we had like blizzard winds kind of stuff.
We have
Hello, so
flooding.
we are live now. We are live
Okay.
and in action. Let's do this, Paula, because we got
Yes,
a
yes, yes.
lot of stuff to talk about.
Okay,
I'm
so here
Nikki
we are.
Lawley.
And I'm Paula
Let's
Collins.
Paula
And
Collins.
we are here for the WNY report, which is dedicated to talking about the issues that are important in Western New York cannabis. So, what do you think is going on this week, Nikki? Not much, right? Kind of a boring week in New
Nothing.
York.
Just put your feet up. We got weather going on. Paula couldn't be with us last Sunday because she got like literally hung up in Maine and then couldn't get to New York. Then she gets to New York and her bag goes to Buffalo. I mean, it was a complete CF of a situation.
My bag
Uh,
went to Detroit. What do you mean, New York? It went to Detroit.
but no, it went to Detroit, then it went to Buffalo, didn't it? And
Yeah,
then it had to
that's
come
true.
back to
And
New
then it
York
had to
City.
come back, which meant I
Yeah.
had to go all the way back to JFK, which is never any fun. I mean, it takes you longer to get from my house to JFK than it does to get from JFK to Buffalo on the airplane. But
That's
go
messed
figure,
up.
that is very messed up. So, Aaron Van Camp, I really loved your column this week on New York Cannabis Insider. I thought it was one of the most honest um, account accounts of what's really going on with the dispensary owners. And um, I got to say, I'm very worried about a lot of these dispensaries that have opened up, and we've got more that are on target to be open. And there's not a whole lot of reality check uh, going into it. I'm aware that people are signing their DASNY notes the day before they open, which there's got to be some kind of law about the cooling off period or something. But what do? You've built out your dispensary and they're saying sign here. They built it out. And I don't know. There's something very funny there. And even as a lawyer, I can't put my finger on it. But um, anyway, I digress. What do you think is going on in your world, Nikki?
Well, first of all, I got to give a huge shout out to Melissa Moore and Niagara Community College. What a wicked cool event that was. I'm so sorry you missed it because the first day, the culinary thing, I mean, I was blown away that I have this in my city. Well, Niagara Falls, close enough. I had no idea that we had that right there. And what an
So tell me
amazing job
about
they
tell
did.
me about the food. I'm going to get up and close the door, but tell me about the food.
The food was really just, they had a whole competition going on for um, chefs and training, and like it was a nationwide certification kind of thing, and it was just really good food, really good networking, really good humans were there. I
Hmm.
really learned a whole lot. They had great speakers, and then the next day with all the speakers was literally just unbelievable. I mean, so many greats. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know if you guys have read my Green State column this week, but greenstate.com, check it out, perspective section.
I didn't
Uh,
even know about it.
yeah, I do it
I'm going to
every month.
pull it up right now.
And what I talk about is the problem with being a medical patient and being
I
where you
can see.
can't medicate. Like
Yeah.
literally, I could not medicate before my session, and my session was at 2:15. So I was at the college, and they got signs everywhere saying, beware of smoking. We've got a cop training place here on the college campus, so probably not too wise to just go try and slip a sip in your car or whatever. Um, and so I was super paranoid. So I did not medicate before my session where I was speaking for an hour. And I felt it was one of the most poor sessions I've ever done. Like
Oh, I'm
since I
sorry to
found
know
the
that.
plant. I mean, everybody said it was great, blah, 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 but I felt like I could not focus. My dots were not connecting, not even a little bit. And it was really hard for me because like it was a big deal, this event, and I really wanted to do a great job. And I don't know. I just felt off. I didn't feel medicated. I felt like I was all up in my head. And I don't know. It just wasn't awesome. So, anyway, for those that actually came to that New York Niagara Community College event, thank you for showing up and being there and for your support. But I do recognize it wasn't one of my top five. So, but so that was new.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then I learned all about the research going on in New York State for cannabis. That was new. That was very interesting. Talked to some really cool people about what they're doing with research and marketing and communications and things like that for the medical program. And then we got that great list of those who've been selected for their licenses for retail and micro business. And we learned what the lottery was. And what's interesting, friends, is I had a conversation with Tremaine Wright after she spoke, and I really had a totally different. My understanding of the lottery was basically you got, I'm going to use distributor because there's a lot less numbers and a lot less things I got to think about. So let's say you've got 20 distributor licenses that you're awarding as the office, right? Just 20, but you've got 340 applicants. So in my mind, and again, this is not legal advice, this is just my opinion of my understanding of this initial process. So I thought, like, just like a lottery, those top 20 were going to get first consideration. So meaning those that were plucked in that 20 order were going to get
Did you
reviewed
say
first.
plucked? You said plucked with a PL, right?
He plucked. Yes, plucked.
Just making sure of your words.
Yeah, good idea. Sometimes they're a little off. But literally plucking those numbers 1 to 20, and then if number 4, 10, and 13 didn't make it, they would take 21, 22, 23 from that randomized lottery order. That was my understanding. And so when Tremaine explained it, though, she indicated that that was not the case, that it was based on how they're reviewing the applications. It didn't mean that those people in that order, those, so let's just take micros, they're issuing 250, correct, of the micros, or 220 or something. So those top 220 micros, basically, if their application met all the requirements, then they would be awarded a license. So that would take one less off the list. And so as they got down, so they might not even get to number 340 or whatever of the applicants
Mhm.
that applied.
Mhm.
So my understanding from Tremaine was not that. It was that all applications were going to be reviewed, and that was just the order they were reviewing the applications in, and then they would be evaluated from there. And that's where other factors came into play. But after reading the question and answer, after talking to several um, applicants that are on that list, like 150 of them have already been asked to be fingerprinted. So, what does that really mean? It's just, it's very confusing. I mean, there's just so much conflicting information, and I'm not trying to give any conflicting information, but when I hear these comments and I hear these statements, I'm saying, what the hell is going on? Like, if you're asking these people to be fingerprinted and they don't have a license because you just said that's the order they're reviewing them in, why is only a portion of them being told to be fingerprinted and not the whole group? Just throwing that out there.
What I feel like, wait, not one micro license was granted in NJ.
Wow,
Um,
how'd that happen? That was a cool flash.
um,
We've
when
never seen
when you
that before.
when you hover, like here's when you hover over it and you click on it,
Oh,
isn't that cool? Like
that's
here's
cool. We just learned something, friends.
John Reidinger. I don't know if I
So,
said your name right.
hello, everyone that's joining. We appreciate you. We are seeing some of the chats here. I see Aaron. We saw Franklin and Frank earlier. We see John and Joe and the guy from New Jersey. We got, it says LinkedIn user again. It's some stupid LinkedIn thing, or Restream thing. I can't blame either one because I really don't know
So
who it
let's go
is.
back to this list.
Yeah,
So here's my thing on the list, and maybe I'm just a little bit, I don't know, in the clouds or something, but there has not been a single process that the New York OCM has rolled out that has where they've said, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're doing, here's what we did, right? Nothing has worked. Like, here are the rules, fill in the application, and then the stuff is implemented in that way. Not a single one. So I'm honestly not sweating this list, which might be shocking to many of if any of my clients are listening in.
I'm sweating this list.
I'm
I don't know
really
how the hell
not.
you're not.
I'm really not. I mean, look at card. Card was supposed to be 150. And then suddenly it was 300. And then suddenly it was 477. And now, and how many of those cards have opened? 40.
I think we're
40.
at 44.
Okay. So
I think I got an OCM
I just
alert.
feel like there's not a straight line. There's not and every time you ask about a change or about, gee, you told me it was going to be this way, and yet you're doing it this way. Their response is, well, it's a new area. It's a new law. It's a new implementation. It's a new agency. Oh, we're short staffed. Oh, the injunction. Oh, the this. Oh, the that. And so I'm really not sweating this list because the list is, it's a list. It's not a license.
That's true.
It's not a license. It's not even a commitment to a license. It's just, this is the order in which we're going to look at your application. That
Okay,
doesn't
so what
mean,
after you look at the application, what about the geographic regions? Like the
right,
cards had to put a geographic region, right? So like
right.
Western New York was different than Manhattan.
Then, right. And what they said when they announced this license period way back in October was that they were going to have 50% of the license in New York City, 50% in the rest of the state. Now, honestly, that's still not even really fair because if you give 50% of the licenses to New York City, but that's where the real estate is the most problematic, but yet you've given a license to somebody who really cannot open, as opposed to giving it to somebody who's in, say, Erie County, where there's a lot more flexibility and reality of coming up with the funding to actually lease a place. Would you honestly lease a little tiny thing that's about the size of a suburban walk-in closet and lease it for $27,000 a month? No.
What? Are you
I
kidding
mean,
me?
you see some weird deals going down like that. And then there's what we're calling the cannabis tax, which is not anything to do with a real tax, but it's that when you approach a landlord and you say, I've got this license, I'm working with, or if, in my case, I'm working with a client who has a license. Um, I think you had said that the lease would be, 10,000 a month. Oh, well, but for your business, it's going to be 15. And,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
some BS. I mean, I
well,
guess, I guess I kind of get it. I kind of get it because look at the landlord and his new risk, right? I mean, I would think if a liquor store was going in there, he'd probably charge more than if a massage studio was going in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, no,
massage studio. I don't know, because that sounds like a brothel to me. You know, I
no,
mean,
it wasn't a brothel. Like, I mean, like a legit, you know, masseuse place or hair place or nail place. Do you know what I'm saying? I gotta believe the liability is less for the landlord for a tenant like that than it is for
yeah,
a
but
liquor store, a bar, or a
okay, but
cannabis dispensary.
wait a second, because my client, the dispensary owner, is coming in with 27 cameras and armed security around the clock, and his inventory is literally in a cage, locked. How much safer do you want? You've just made that landlord's building a whole lot safer.
Okay, that was a good argument.
You'd think I was a lawyer or something. They taught me a thing or two at Brooklyn Law School.
That was good. That was good. I gotta like kind of shrug my shoulders at that. Yeah, like how do I even come back at that? I
It's a
mean,
lot
the
safer than a barber shop putting in an ATM. You know, how many of the ATMs get stolen or get at least attempted to be stolen?
I'm not aware of that statistic
Oh,
even a little
it's a big problem.
bit.
It's a
Really?
huge yeah, like a barber shop or any kind of business that puts in one of those ATMs. Like in New York, a lot of the delis, a lot of the bodegas have ATMs, right?
Because they'd
Because
rather get paid in cash than in charge card receipt because for multiple reasons. You know, between visa fees and taxes and whatnots. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot better to take cash. So I get why they have them available.
okay, somebody had a lot to say. Do you want to read that for us? This is all politicians. Can you read that? I am
Yeah.
certified in mental health.
And wellness, as well as work with MAPS. MAPS is sick. And this is ridiculous that we are still fighting something that grows from the ground and at a Schedule 1. Could not agree more, LinkedIn user there. Um, it is political. Paula and I, before we started this today, actually were talking about federal rescheduling happening, going from 1 to 3. And she's like, I don't know if it gets rescheduled, we're going to have to totally rethink New York. And I'm like, Paula, don't even like stress your little your brain on that because I don't think it's being rescheduled. But could I be wrong? 100%. Do I have a 411 to Biden and everybody else in the Senate and House and DEA and FDA that are part of this whole decision? No. But I just don't think it's going to happen this year, personally.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's going to happen. I think there's too much wind behind it. Marissa Pontecorvo, owner of Gratefully Medicated Inc. Welcome, Marissa. We're
That's
glad.
our Maps pal. Very cool.
That's our Maps pal?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
good.
that's our Maps pal. Thank you, Marissa, for those comments. And yes, I totally agree with this fighting. But I'm really worried another lawsuit's coming down the pike. Well, we already know one's coming down. I mean, are we going to get another TRO, temporary restraining order, so these guys can't even open? So this list is like just an effort in futility.
That's another reason why I'm not upset about the list. I feel like January 26th, which is when the next court date is on the new Veracite suit, which is not to be confused with the old
Old
Veracite suit.
Veracite suit. This is 4
But
and 5, right?
in Washington State, it's not going well for Mr. Gay, Mr. Veracite. That's
Mm,
really his name. What is it, Michael Gay or something? Um,
okay.
so I feel like, oh, New York Times posted an article. We're gratefully
Nice.
very well done. Um, no,
Yeah, girl.
Washington State said that the Commerce Clause cannot apply to a substance that is Schedule 1.
Yeah, love it. It's just so confusing. And I mean, I just feel
Kenneth
like,
Gay. Thank you, Karen.
thank you, Karen. Hello,
Um,
James.
so
Um,
I'm having to work really hard this weekend to be positive. What are some so you told us about the good food at the SUNY Cannabis Conference. You told us about
the good
the wealth
speakers.
of the good speakers. What else? What else is good in New York cannabis?
Well, I learned a lot, like I said, about, how the research license works. And I got enlightened that you can actually have a research license and you don't just have to limit. It's a long story. So, I mean, for me to get into that, that's a whole episode. But check out that research license, guys, because it's interesting.
Well, and I've got a couple of people that really would qualify for that. I've got a physician and I've got a couple of other people. Not the physician that you and I both know, but another physician here in Brooklyn. Um, and a couple of other people that might be interested in it. So it is worth a look.
It's definitely worth exploring. It's one of the most economical things. And I mean, seriously, are you really considered competing if, like, your doctor friend and my doctor friend, if they both are doing research, odds are they're not doing the exact same research. So
Oh no.
research is research is research. So we need as much as we can with real world evidence and real world products, not the
Hmm.
mouse in the maze. The mouse in the maze for clinical trials, I'm sorry, that's not real life. When you have a double blind placebo controlled study, while yes, that is recognized as the standard for testing pharmaceutical drugs, etc. It's really, really hard because they've isolated a certain group of humans from that control group that are like perfect humans, pictures of health that don't have, they're not taking this medicine or that medicine, or they don't have this illness or that illness. So you're not taking real world people when you're doing these double blind placebo studies as much as you're focusing on that control group, because that control group you can understand because they have everything so pinned down, right? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But
I
yet,
do.
but like you take Nikki Lawley trying to take that same drug, you don't take into considerations all the things I've got going on. And so I'll have an adverse reaction to that drug compared to that control group. I mean, that's my issue with that. To me, if you're going to test a medicine, test it on normal people, on people that don't meet. I mean, I'm not saying you don't need this initial step, but I'm saying in reality, all those drug trials that we do, a lot of times are just really based on not real world. And like medical cannabis, there's just not enough research. So I empower and encourage all the universities, all the different hospitals, like look into it, partner with people that understand cannabis, because you need someone that understands cannabis, that uses it every day in order to create a research study. You just can't pull theoretical BS out of your butt and try and make it work, right? You have to have a patient involved, a pharmacist involved that deals with this every day, a dispensary that dispenses it. These are all critical people that they often forget, and they don't have a seat at the table. And that's very frustrating.
So, first of all, welcome to our LinkedIn user. I'm sorry we don't see your name, but you read legislation and do research daily on several topics, this being the main one. Um, and Frank commented on what you said, I guess, Nikki. But here's the thing, and I guess this is maybe I'm a little too mellow, or maybe I've just, I spent yesterday just basically in my cocoon. The furthest I went was from my sofa to my kitchen with occasional trips to the bathroom. I was just like really hunkered down. I had to push out a syllabus for a class that I'm teaching, starts this week. But the bottom line is, when I take regular prescriptions, I have to experiment with how it interacts with my body. And that's been like my whole life. If somebody prescribes something, it doesn't react the same way with me than it should with regular humans. I guess I'm just a special little snowflake. But definitely with anything that's plant related, you're going to have that impact. And so honestly, the most sound advice I've ever heard on this topic is yours, Nikki, which is keep a journal. Like keep a journal, write down what you took or what you ingested or what you smoked or however, if you just like waved your hands in front of it. And then write how you reacted, write how your body responded, and try to duplicate that if it worked for you. And then of course you get into the different things of like there are months out of the year when I have a slight bit of allergy to milk, to dairy. And
Hmm.
I think it's because of whatever the cows are being fed. I don't know. So I think that there are different kinds of things with the plant that are going to cycle like that. And goodness knows in New York, the plants, the whatever's on the shelves has not really been harvested recently.
Traditionally, not so much.
Yeah.
But again, it's on the shelf.
And,
It's on the
and that
shelf.
and that is changing. That is changing.
It
And
is.
what do you think about this persistent rumor that we're going to actually have a shortage of New York product?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yes, I see that as being a potential problem, but I feel like that's why we're beefing up the supply chain. While why we opened up to more cultivators and more processors.
Did we?
And yeah, wasn't that part of the apps? Like that was part of the application process. Like,
Yeah, but
yeah,
those haven't been released yet.
they haven't been released yet at all. No, no, no. But I'm saying that's the ultimate plan to beef up the supply chain with more cultivators, with micro businesses, with, you know, other people in it. So, as
Yeah,
far as a shortage
sorry.
goes, I would like to say, no, I don't see that happening. But is it possible? Because it does happen. Yes, absolutely. Um, let's read. Did you see Colorado? They legalized in 2012, and DeSantis is trying to push back. They were one of the
Saying
first.
Florida was one of the first.
Okay. Um, yeah, New York shortage is already happening. I just see so many brands trying to get on the shelves right now. And how do
Hmm.
these brands differentiate themselves? You know, how do they tell their story? Because their story is what matters. People tend to buy products where there's a story behind it and where the product works for them. I mean, it's a
Big shout
relationship
out
you're
to
building.
Jenny RG for that.
Facts, facts. Jenny's
Yeah,
Loves Me is a great product.
Jenny's is phenomenal. Yeah, yeah. I came
I
home
love
from,
House Sasachi. He's Mike's a killer dude. He's really awesome. I love his products. They always smell so yummy. Um, uh, I hate to say it, but like Curaleaf's kind of up their game and they're doing some pretty good things. And now we have
okay.
GTI entering the market. And as a medical dispensary patient, I go to both, absolutely, the adult use and the medical dispensaries, but truthfully, it's much more economical to shop at a medical dispensary than it is an adult use dispensary. But there's many more products in the adult use dispensary. So Nikki is always curious about, what's going on. When I went to the
Hmm.
store in Rochester, MJ Dispensary, I couldn't believe all the SKUs they had. Like it was like, wow, how do you pick just one? Um, so I mean, you go to Dank. I mean, he's got tons of brands in there, and, as a dispensary owner, how much inventory can you realistically stock in a way that you meet everyone's needs all across the board, right? Like you got to have enough gummies, you got to have enough vapes, you got to have enough flour, you got to have enough pre rolls. And there's a big dispensary, responsibility as far as what they put on their shelves. And so, um, is indoor licensed yet. Hi, Katie. Um, Indoor mixed light is licensed right now, correct, Paula? And they are, once they get the permanent, they can go lights. What's the deal?
I thought the only indoor or mixed light was the rods, the ROs. But as far as,
Not the
if you and I
lights.
had a if you and I had a farm, we couldn't be indoor or mixed light yet. We don't have that license yet.
Okay. And you could be 100% correct on that. I think
Yeah.
they were allowed to do like R&D or something on products. Forgive my naiveness and lack of knowledge on this topic.
Well, I don't know why anybody in New York cannabis would be confused. I mean that,
I
and
mean,
that,
oh my God.
to me, that is the ultimate lawsuit. Is it? There's an obligation in the law that lawmakers and the agencies that implement the law are supposed to communicate the law so clearly that the person who is out there trying to interpret the law has a reasonable expectation of understanding the law so that they can then make an informed decision of whether to comply or not. That's like a real basic thing. It's part of due process, which is the Fifth Amendment. And so to me, that's kind of the ultimate lawsuit. I couldn't understand the law,
That's interesting. That's
which
like, there is
which is
no
what
way I can understand this law right now.
this list I can't understand. Transparency, what's that? Um,
Facts.
okay, so James of Flatbush has set me straight. Flower House,
Have
Electroleaf,
mixed light now. Okay, thank you for that
Adirondacks hemp.
clarification.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I thought the greenhouse thing was cool. I wasn't positive, but okay, good to know. Thank you for clarifying. Um, but yeah, it's super confusing. Just like take my lottery example from before. I mean, I'm still confused. I still don't get it. And then when you take out, like, the C applicants were supposed to get 3 times the amount of license tries or places in the queue, and I saw that in some cases, but not all. And then I saw, so this list had how it was 35 pages long, 34 pages long. And
I think it was 37.
was it? Oh,
I
okay.
think so.
Well, see, you know those numbers much better than me. So
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
so anyway, however many pages it is, the bottom line is that it's too many pages. I mean, like it's so confusing because like the micro businesses are mixed in with the retail. And to me, I'm already lost by the time I get to number 472. I'm like, well, it's just not real clear if it's a micro or a dispensary, who's doing what. It's just, it's very confusing. And so I look at people that are applying for the micro business, and I look at the name, like, it didn't say on there, did it? Like, was it listed on that list that it had micro or retail? Like, isn't it
Yeah,
just the company name? I did have that? Okay, good.
it does show. It does show.
Okay.
Um, the thing that it doesn't show are the regions,
Doesn't show the
and it
regions.
it doesn't show much. I don't know. That's why I'm kind of ignoring it. But there are a lot of people who are very, very upset. Um, I wonder what their next step is. I'm hearing of people getting invitations for fingerprinting. Full disclosure, I applied for one of the white label processor licenses. I got an invitation to go get fingerprinted. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But that was for a processor license. That's not even on one of the lists.
Right.
I'm like, WTF. I really don't get that. Um, yeah, there's just so much going on that is literally very difficult for a layman to understand. I
A
mean,
lay woman,
lay woman, a lay
a
human,
lay person, a lay human.
a lay human.
Um,
That's safe. Yeah, I mean,
okay, so then, it's January and I'm a tax attorney. So here's what we're going to start, and I am starting to do more writing on Cannabis Insider. I don't know if you noticed, Brad said we're going to do a regular column on, uh, yeah, thank you, Eric, the text search. I just put it, I save it as a PDF and search that way, but I'm complicated. But so we're going to be doing a regular tax column, but the main thing that I think about uh, going forward is how people are going to deal with these losses this year, and they're expecting that they're going to get I don't know. Honestly, a lot of people feel like if they had a $40,000 loss on their attempt to launch a cannabis business, that somebody in IRS heaven is going to send them a check for 40,000 like it's a rebate, and it really doesn't work that way.
no,
So, and it's complicated because it's still a Schedule One substance. It's also complicated because you can't really claim that loss. You can claim it going forward, but and it all comes down to how your entity formation was handled, whether you formed it as an LLC, in which case you could declare that on your personal 1040 Schedule C. But if you claimed it as a corporation, that's going to be different. A lot of people think they watch TikTok videos that tell everybody to form an S Corp with their family and pay their kids through the S Corp. And it's like, in cannabis, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that, because an S Corp is a pass through. That means that tax bill is going to pass through to you. So I think because it's January and I know people are upset about the list, I'm more upset about what are these people going to do about their tax situation?
and
Because
what
a
are they
lot of
going to
people,
do if they don't get a license? What are they going to do with their tax situation? And they paid all these professional fees for a lawyer, for a consultant, for a accountant, for a marketing person to do their logo, for a whatever else they had to do, just from professional levels of money, and if they don't get a license, they've just like lost all that money. That's horrible. And Karen, 100%. Um, the cards are trying to get open and waiting on OCM, and now that their workload is gone to 10 times, I'm a bit concerned, as I would be as well. I mean, again, I just, there's so much going on and so much happening. It's really hard to keep up as a can human.
so let's make some predictions. Do we think the potency tax is going to get resolved anytime soon? We've got a new legislature. And
New thing, and that's Tuesday, isn't it? When she's doing her state of the state or whatever budget
no,
release.
she did the state of the state. She's supposed to talk about the new budget, which it feels like
Okay,
we just resolved the old budget, right? Because that one was delayed. So that didn't get voted on until May the 4th of 2023. May the 4th be with you. Um, that's a little Star Trek joke. Not
got
Star
it.
Trek,
I
Star
got it.
Wars.
I
Star
got
Wars
it.
joke. May the 4th be with you. But that's when the enforcement bill was passed.
Okay.
Um, and so now the talk, she's going to initiate the 2025 talk on the budget, and the hope is that top of the agenda will be redoing the potency tax. I got to say, I have had to prepare potency taxes for cultivators. Um, it's not impossible, but it's pointless, and it's also
Yeah,
it doesn't change. If they sold $100 worth of product, they've got such and such tax. If they've sold $1 million worth of product,
it's the
or
same.
I'm saying that wrong. I'm saying that wrong. If they sell it at $100, it's the same kind of taxation as it. That they're not it doesn't change according to the price, whereas a sales tax does change, right? So if the potency is taxed at a certain uh, level, if you're taxing on potency, that potency doesn't change whether you're selling it for $10 or for $10,000. Potency is the same. So the potency
Okay.
tax really only works.
It's gonna affect the consumer, right? The potency
It's also
tax.
going to, well, no, it's going to affect the farmer because let's say I've got, and these are very broad numbers. These are not realistic numbers at all. But let's say I have a product that has 5 milligrams of THC in it, and I sell it for $10, and I've got to pay, what is that potency rate? I think it's not 13%, but whatever that rate is, times that five milligrams. Okay. So that makes sense. But then I'm so much better if I sold that same product for $100. So you see, if you're a farmer and the prices dip too low, but your tax the tax that you're having to pay stays the same, you're a little bit screwed. Does that make sense?
No,
No.
but I'm gonna
Okay.
go with it. I'm just gonna go with it because I hope it made sense to those that are watching.
Okay.
I'm
Let's
bad
say
at the
this.
whole math thing.
Let's say I'm selling you my phone, right?
Yeah.
I'm selling you my phone for $10, and from that
Okay.
$10, I have to pay $3 in taxes. All
Okay.
right. So now my profit is $7. But um, suppose I'm selling my phone to you at $100, but my tax is still $3.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So that's why we're saying that the farmers are really up against the wall because if the prices drop, their taxation does not
Does
change.
not change. Got it.
Whereas sales tax does. If you sold $100, you're paying 13% taxes. If you sold $1,000, you're paying still the 13% on it, but it's graded according to how much you're selling. Whereas this the farmer who sold this is having to pay the same amount because it's based on the potency of
Mhm.
whatever's in that product. In this case, it's an
So
apple.
if that phone was 10% and it's now a 20% product, so then that potency tax hypothetically goes up to $4. Now the farmer's only making $6 on that.
Mhm.
Okay, I think I get it. Thanks.
You think you got it. So now you see why
I
the
do.
farmers are saying this is
Are
not
saying this
workable.
is not cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. So we've got to, I, okay,
Bye,
Joseph,
Joe.
thank you. Um, I feel like the people who have been most forgotten and mistreated in this whole thing have been the farmers, followed closely by the manufacturers and processors.
Yeah.
That's
I
your
mean,
cue. You missed your cue to say facts. That's what you usually say
oh,
when
I
I
was
say
supposed to say
something.
facts. Got it.
Facts.
Facts. Well, I had to process it because, like, we didn't rehearse this one. I had to think about it because I'm thinking, the retailers are screwed too, but yes, you're right. The farmer is more screwed than the retailer because the
Yeah.
farmer has to get the product to the retailer. And if that retailer is in Manhattan, the odds of a Western New York product winding up in Manhattan, it's right now those
Oh,
growers have to drive their own product to Manhattan. That's a
that's
lot
like
of
my,
work.
and what do you do when your truck breaks down and
Right,
you're still waiting on that net 30 that hasn't come through?
right,
You know what I'm talking about, the net 30?
right.
Do you know, or yes or no? Should I explain that?
The net 30 means that the dispensaries have to pay within 30 days, correct?
Right.
To the
Instead
farmer.
of
So the
COD.
farmer
Why
is
not?
already
Why didn't
out.
they make it COD? And why is it, like state alcohol rules, that list is updated daily. If you are one day late, you go on the COD list. That isn't happening in cannabis.
No, it's not. And quite honestly, when you look at California and you look at other states, I mean, the distributor fiasco in California is a perfect example. There was net 30 is taxes.
No.
I don't know.
Net 30 is when they have to pay their farmer or their
Processor.
distributor, yeah, processor. So, in other words, as a new dispensary owner, I can have all this product dropped off at my shop and I don't have to pay anybody for 30 days.
And that farmer is out on a limb hoping that A, you sell his product, and B, you pay him or
Hmm.
her, them.
Them.
Um, and then how often do they have to pay their taxes? Like, how often does a dispensary right now have to pay their taxes?
Um, it's quarterly unless on the sales tax, if they're doing a certain amount of volume, it boosts up very quickly to monthly,
Oh,
which
okay.
that's been a problem because some of them are still working without any kind of real accounting help. And so they're having to, if they're not accustomed to this world, they are having to stop everything and spend an evening or a weekend figuring out how to do all of this. Now, honestly, and I was having this discussion with my, I have a new not tax, a new accounting colleague, Steve Bruno, or as a lot of my clients are calling him, Bruno. Um,
Bruno.
Bruno! So, Steve Bruno and I were talking about how a lot of the work is being done through Dutchie and through other processing systems, but you still want to have a live human to look at the numbers and make sure that everything has been set up right and that it's feeding right. All it takes, it's kind of like when you've been working with, let's say, how sometimes LinkedIn just doesn't load right or doesn't work right, or Facebook to me more often. And it's because the operating system, like on an Apple product, the operating system may have updated, but the software did not update.
Right,
And so you've
right.
got to wait till it all realigns again. Sometimes that's as easy as just powering off and turning it back on. Other times you've got to wait for that company to, I don't
Update.
know, write a
Issue an update.
new write a new plugin, write a new driver, what have you. So you do need a live human to make sure that's being done. Um,
That's honestly
it's
better that it's on a shelf with an accounts receivable behind it versus being still sitting in storage at their site or at the processor. I agree with that,
true,
which
true,
would not be an
true,
issue,
true.
but they haven't been operating for more than 2 years with no sales, outlets, aka no dispensaries. It is 2024. So what that basically means is we now have 2022 and 2023 crops on the shelf currently either via distillate or most likely not flour, but um, and they had nowhere to sell it. So basically, when we had how many dispensaries, we just like really started rolling on this dispensary stuff in the last 6 months. Up until then, it was like, what was it, like 5 or 6 or 13 or some ridiculous number before the law, the injunction. How many
Yeah,
cards were open
I think we hovered around 12 for a while, right?
for a
And
while,
and
right?
then and then there was the problem of there were some that were delivery only, but
Yes.
they weren't dispensary. So you would look at the list and it looked like 17 or 18, but then actual brick
Actual
and
open
mortar,
storefronts.
brick and mortar.
Right.
Um, although I gotta say, if I were, and that's a really big if I were in this business on the retail side, I think I'd be more interested in the delivery option. But that was something that went away at the end of December in a meeting with the cards that they only had until December 31st to indicate a temporary delivery option. And that was an abrupt change because up until then it was as long like when you got your license, you had um, you had to go through the hoops to get the actual approval for the license. So with card, you got your first level approval. Then you had to do some things to get your second level of approval. And then you could express, well, I'd like to do a temporary delivery option. And it used to be before December, it used to be that you had a year to say, I
Oh, yeah.
want to do a temporary delivery option, but that went
Yes.
away December 31st.
Interesting.
That went quietly away. I got to say,
It
not a lot of
did go
people.
quietly away because we had
It's
a delivery option open here. I don't remember the date, but it was kind of right on that timeline.
Well, if they got it approved before December 31st,
Okay. And
that
I
was okay.
don't remember the exact dates, but I know there were some people voicing concerns over that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it kind of messed up one of my guys because he was trying to decide between a couple of places and then this other lawsuit was filed. So does he want to commit and then sit on property for 8 months, 10
Right.
months, what have you? And then that temporary delivery. And I said, why don't we try to get you opened with the temporary delivery? And then that went away. So, um, I,
I really feel for the people that are trying to do it right and be above board and got all their ducks in a row, did everything right
quack,
from the
quack.
start, and quack quack, you're so funny. But literally, I feel horrible for them that they've literally revolved their life around opening a cannabis dispensary because it's their passion, not for the money, not for, the clout, but because they have passion behind it. And they literally are sitting on a seesaw, teeter totter, whatever the hell you know it as. Literally, one day they got hope, the next day, not so much. Then we got a list. We got a list that has a lot of duplicates. We've got a list of, it's so intense, right? And they literally don't know what's going to happen. And I understand cannabis is not a black and white situation. There's a whole lot of gray, and that comes with the territory. But I just, I have friends that literally have their life on the line and they literally don't know if they're going to be able to open. And that's just not right. That's just not cool how they're doing this and dragging it out. And like Karen said, they've got so much more work ahead of them now to try and they're trying to get cards open, but they need all these different little inspections and these different little check boxes checked and things like that, and then they can finally open, but now all these people have to evaluate all these applications. There's a lot of work there, a lot. And I read where what I could like stay awake for the 2023 report, right, for put out by OCM. And I mean, there's a lot of expenditure there. There was like $1 million for a trainer. I was like, really? you know?
wasn't But wasn't the chief equity officer supposed to publish a separate social equity report? January 1st. That's in the
Or
law.
you would
It's
know
in the
that
law.
way better than me, right?
It's in the
Um,
law. And I mean, they did talk about social equity, so I don't know if that's all
that's
we're going to
part of
get.
it. Maybe it's part of
But
it. We can be optimistic. But I just
but
looked at the
he was supposed to,
expenditures.
yeah, he was supposed to publish a separate report.
Got it. Got it.
Thank you,
Oh, thanks,
Karen.
Karen. Karen, you're
Yeah,
a
we're
wealth of
waiting.
knowledge for our info
Man,
here.
I've been
Thank you.
holding my breath since January 1. You know, the ball dropped in Times Square and I've been like waiting for it.
Paula, you shouldn't be
Kaboom!
breathing. Yeah. I mean, we're at what, January, what's the date? 14th? I mean, if you've been holding your breath that long, shit.
Oh, wait. Ruben is in the house.
Ruben's in the house. Ruben.
Hello, friends.
Can I just
How's
say, let's talk about Ruben for a second. Let's just talk about Ruben Lindo for a second. This guy is the guy. Like, if there was a guy that we can all like respect, who's doing the work, who's out there, not trying to make a name for himself, but actually being inclusive and like being stealth behind the scenes, building brands, doing what's right and doing the right thing. Um, I just so much mad respect for you, Ruben. I actually was one of the recipients of his award. He hosts a killer event every year called the Herbies, and we got passed on the award to new people this year, and it was just the guy really. You were at that party. You came.
I was. It was a great party. Really, really
Great
good party.
party. I mean, really top notch. And Ruben is just a great and genuine guy. So thank you, Ruben, for all you do. And thank you for being a champion of this plan because there's a lot to it and you're doing the work and it's much appreciated, friend. And interesting about the report um, that second year and it's late again. Yeah, that's a problem. And under duress. Oh, how'd
Did
you
you
do
see that?
that?
Look, I do this and it happens.
Oh, just stop it. Well, why doesn't it do it on mine? Because I don't know how to make a flipping heart.
Maybe I'm on a
What if
Mac.
I just
Maybe.
smile? No?
Oh, that's cute. Um, so
Wow, that
here's
was
the
really
thing.
neat that you did that.
I know.
Wow, you've got talent. That's like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
Frank was there for the party too. Yes. That's where I really bonded with Frank. That was the first time I met Frank in person. Um, but yeah,
so
Ruben never has another party people like for this year. Ruben, are you having one? Type that in the chat. But um,
his
it's
party's usually late
truly,
in the year.
it's
The year is
truly a great, great, great event. Worth every penny. The food's top notch. Ruben's top notch, and it's just a great time had for all. Um, so, Ruben, if you're having another gala this year, pop it in the chat because we loved it. You can count on me again this year. Um,
so
so, I guess
so
we're
do we
coming up to
do
the
we
end.
see this ship turning around? Ship with a P at the end. Do we see it turning around anytime soon? I really don't. I really don't. You know,
Paula,
as
we're
much as it,
supposed to be a positive podcast, okay? We're supposed
well,
to be
okay, I'm gonna
optimistic.
get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So I don't see that we're gonna be able to dodge an injunction, and I hope I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But so if you're on, if there's any human way you can push, like if you've got a card license, if there's any human way that you can push your approval through, pull all-nighters, get a team, do something so that you can get all of your approvals done before January 26th, which is the next time that they're back in court on the Veracite case. For everybody else, just keep plugging along. I honestly believe that at some point in New York, we will have a viable cannabis industry, but I can't tell you when that's going to be. So the main thing is stay true to yourself, stay true to the plant, Don't do anybody else in because karma's a bitch and it comes back at you.
Facts.
And yeah, and just, remember that yeah, we reverse there, but at the end of the day, remember that it is a community.
It
And
is.
so that doesn't really help your bank account very much,
No.
but it does help you. And so many of us are in this industry because of the spiritual aspects of the plant. And so don't forget that at the end of the day, it's all about that. It's not about a license. It's not about making $3 million in your first year. It's about uh, the plant and the people and healing, healing, whether it's multi-generational wrongs, whether it's the mass incarceration, whether it's the misunderstandings of the plant's impact on the human body, whether it's healing those family relationships that went so far astray for whatever reason. Um, keep your focus on that, and then just get into a place where you've got this sort of mask around you while we go through these final battles with the licensings and the injunctions and the money issues. Um, Stay true to yourself.
And don't forget, the plant is medicine. The plant is a healer. And I was kind of stressed out before this show, Paula. I'm not going to lie. I just, after reading so much and hearing so much, and I literally was like, shit, how am I going to pull off this thing without sounding like negative Nancy, right? And I smoked the plant, right? And it gave me an empathy or some grace or some peace so that it
Hmm.
wasn't a, I no longer feel like, "Ah!" I feel more, I mean, I'm annoyed still. Like there's still parts of me, don't misunderstand. It's not, you know, I'm no longer like, oh, I'm so happy now. No, I mean, the issues are still there, but I can deal with those issues. And nice, Ruben, that we are having another party back in June. Can't wait. So when you guys see it on, I share it all the time. And I know Paula will, and a lot of people that have been there before. When you see Ruben Lindo's urban gala, make sure you're there, because it's the party of parties, really. But you guys, I can't thank you all enough for joining us tonight. I know there's a lot of shit going on, and we have to be there for each other. It's not about competing, it's about collaborating. It's about collaborating and working with one another so that we can literally build a better plan together. Because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, if we just try and sail our own ship without being a fleet, it's never going to make a difference. When we're together, we can make changes and make things really happen. And that's what I'm all about, collaboration over competition. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. And we really look forward to next week where we hopefully can have better news with these issues. I'm still trying to do that, damn it. Hopefully, we can have better news with all these issues going on because there is a lot of stuff going on. And we love all the participation tonight. I feel like tonight went really well with everybody and contributing and stuff. And for those of you whose comments we didn't get to see because of this restream thing, please forgive us. We'll comment in the comment section if you chose to do that. So
Go
thanks so
support
much.
New York cannabis.
Go New York and go Bills. Go Bills tomorrow night. Yeah,
Go
go Bills.
Bills, go Bills, go
Go
Bills. Okay.
Bills.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. See you next
Bye,
week.
guys.